Good morning to you all. I wish to thank the organizers of this summit for the invitation extended to me. I must say I'm very delighted and excited to be in this August gathering to share and rub minds on topical issues such as this. Not until in recent past, topics such as this might not have attracted attention of such a gathering, as it is natural that the world is used to movement of people from one continent to the other. However, movement of people are now taking a different dimension when it took a form of organized crime, especially against the vulnerable groups such as women, young boys, girls, and children. It suffices to state that we have the internal and international dimension of human trafficking. I had the opportunity of watching and listening to the papers presented at the last summit by Honorable Justice Helen Ogunmiju, Justice of the Court of Appeal, delivered at this summit. The last time, I must say it was well presented. Her paper took care of the institutional framework set up in Nigeria to fight ills of human trafficking by the government. Not wanting to sound repetitive of her paper and those of my other colleagues that may be presented here, I hereby converse my personal experience on human trafficking in my community, which led to the international human trafficking and organized crime that the Boko Haram used as their weapon. The key issues of discussions have already been defined, so I need not go into same. I rather adopt the earlier definitions. However, as have been agreed, it is a crime against humanity, and I must agree to that too. In Nigeria, human trafficking, modern slavery, and organized crime have been going on silently. People were trafficked to Europe, America, and Saudi Arabia, Asia, and some of the African countries to provide cheap labor and to serve as sex slaves, and recently organ harvesting. While their couriers benefit from such acts financially, human trafficking that raised concern was initially noticed in the 1980s. Though in the criminal system of Nigeria, as had earlier been said, there were provisions that took care of such crimes. It became inadequate due to the technical and complex nature of the new trend of organized crime. It became necessary, therefore, to create an agency with more guiding laws when the issue became a more dangerous menace to the society. This agency is now known as the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIC, founded in 2003. The founding of the agency became necessary when an NGO, that is Women Trafficking and Child Labor Eradication Foundation, founded in 1999, heightened the activities in the issue of human trafficking to create more awareness on the issues. In Nigeria, depending on from which part of the region you come from, the form of trafficking is of varying dimensions. I will also speak of what is peculiar to my region, that is the Northeast region, where it has come globally to be known as the Boko Haram region. I've avoided conversing issues on Boko Haram, which means Western education is forbidden here, as it is a sensitive issue back home. I may be open to some questions on the issue if I find them to be not to be sensitive. I will speak on what we call the Al-Majri system, that is, boys who are gathered in one place and taught the Quran. History has it that Maiduguri, one of the states in the Northeast region, was a cradle of civilization. Islamic religion played a central role in it. It was said that most of the learned scholars coming from the North African settled there to spread the religion. As a result of that, people from most of the northern regions of Nigeria went there to acquire such knowledge. People as far as from Niger, Chad, Sudan, Central Africa, and Cameroon also visited Borno to acquire knowledge. Initially, only men traveled there since the journey was on foot. In later years, due to the availability of other means of transportation, young men, boys, and as young as 5 years were sent there to acquire knowledge. In the light of this, the number of young men and boys sent by their parents to Borno to acquire knowledge increased sufficiently. Scholars also used to gather young boys under their tutelage, running to hundreds to travel with them to Borno to acquire knowledge. I think from there onwards, the issue of human trafficking can be said to have started full-blown. But nobody seemed to have raised any eyebrow on the issue even then. Due to the age of the children, which can be as low as 5 years, and due to the number taken there by a single scholar, it became difficult for some of the scholars to maintain all of them. Thus, the very young ones, as young as 5 years, are usually later found on the street begging for what to eat. It thus became easy for anybody to entice them and get them trafficked, and Boko Haram used this opportunity to traffic these children. When the scholars became many, having acquired the knowledge, they moved to other towns with these young boys, and they could be found in most of the cities in the north, and in particular the northeast of Nigeria. That was how trafficking spread. The children were trafficked to other cities in the southern part of Nigeria. It is therefore not uncommon to see such children as young as 5 years sleeping in their hundreds in various groups, sometimes under trees, uncompleted buildings, and where the buildings is available in crowded rooms or shelters. It is easy to see people recruiting them for manual labor on their farms in place of food or shelter, which they will willingly accept in the absence of any alternative better. It must be noted that these children or young persons come from middle-class parents who are not educated in the Western concept, while others are from poor homes. For those from the middle-class parents, it can be said it is only ignorance that made the parents send their children far away places in such a tender age with no one in particular to see to their proper upbringing and guidance. This is so as they have the wherewithal to employ a scholar for as low as $30 to teach their children at home. Way back in the early 70s, that is perhaps before the human trafficking was visibly noticed in Nigeria, thus raising concern. Most of us, including my humble self, went to such scholars to study at those tender age of 4 or 5, under trees in my neighborhood. I and my other siblings sat along with so many of those children, sometimes in the morning and sometimes in the night, to learn in a bonfire scenario, there being no light except that coming from the burning fire, from the burning firewood. The firewood was fetched daily by those boys from the bush. What I appreciated now is that my brothers and others that live in the community go home to sleep, while others trafficked sleep outside by the burning fire. I saw how most of these other children, mostly boys, were trafficked daily as other scholars come along with their groups, settle for some months, and learn with us. After some time, we just discovered that they have moved on and life goes on for us. We were then too young to understand what was happening. Children from poor homes are released to such scholars in hundreds because their parents cannot afford to feed them, not so much as they care about the education that they will receive. Some of these scholars do not have visible means of livelihood, talk less of taking care of over 50 children. In most cases, it is not all. A mother has no say in the decision of sending a young child as young as 5 years away. If she had, she will not allow it. Occasionally, we visit homes of those to be taken away, trafficked as we now come to know it, by the scholars to bid them farewell early in the morning. My memory then was that the mothers are usually left wailing because she knows what may befall her young child once out of her sight. Like I said, we were then too young to understand. It is known that when occasionally certain suspicious places are raided, bowls carried by these boys or begging are usually seen. It is assumed that the boys must have been kidnapped or on the street, either kidnapped or murdered for organ harvesting. For the girls who sell items on the street, their containers are usually found in such suspicious places, with the girls also missing, having been kidnapped or murdered. Having sat and read along with those trafficked children in my early formative years, it now gave me the zeal to want to do something. What can I do? That is why I'm here to learn. This is because, in my opinion, I still see young children daily being trafficked from the villages to the cities in the guise of placing them under foster parents to learn skills to beat the law on trafficking. Some of these children end up being maltreated by their so-called foster parents. Foster parents, because in the North you cannot adopt a child, you can only foster a child. Evidently, the hands of the government is full, and sometimes even where action is taken and the issue is reported and the child is retrieved and sent back to the parents, the child is usually sent out again to a different location where or she may end up the worse for it. When therefore such issues come to our notice as leaders in the community, we try to see how we can get a good foster parent for such a child. Though not a regulated act, you at least get to know occasionally that the child is doing well, or as other women are there to check on such a child and report. The foster parents are advised to put the child in school or give him some hours per day to learn skills where the child is old enough to do so. Towards eradicating these ills, the government of Nigeria has built special schools known as the nomadic schools, where such children can be placed with their scholars to learn the Quran, because to them that is the most important skills and a little of Western education. This is with a bid to stop the international and national trafficking. Being a very complex tradition to the people, it may not be very easy to stop the internal trafficking. The policy of settling them in one place with their scholars, though a laudable initiative, it seems it is not working, as one still sees these children roaming about the street begging. They can easily be picked by people for criminal purposes. However, where there is a political will, I feel the issues can be overcome. Realizing also that most of the children go to school from their homes in the morning without having anything to eat, because they are from poor homes, the government has introduced school feeding in such local schools to get the children to attend formal schools. It seems it is working. As enrollment in schools have improved, the parents are also assisted with as low as $15 to $30 per month to maintain and keep their children in school. However, with an unstable government policy, how sustainable can this be? For me, as an individual, I felt I can also do something. An opportunity to assist and serve humanity by curbing human trafficking came in the African context form. Women come asking for assistance, that is, women in my community sometimes come asking for assistance to either acquire skills or working capital for as little as $15 to $30. If given such capital or skills, it goes a long way in saving their children off the street, thus away from traffickers. The women can use such money to start off business. For the children, after the fostering or while fostering, depending on the age of the child, he can work in areas where he acquired the skill. I may be seen here talking about the boys than the girls. That is because the girls are married off early, thus hidden from the ills of the society, until when they outlive their usefulness in their matrimonial homes after several children. Then they are divorced for lack of rendering assistance to their husband to maintain the children. They turn up at the doorway of homes asking for assistance to either acquire skills or some amount of working capital to start petty trading. As one of the opportunities in the societies, so to say, we advise and encourage women to form groups and associations where they can easily have assistance for funds to better their lives. Presently, I'm working with one of such women groups. They now have their school and skill acquisition centers next to the school of their children in my community. I sometimes provide sewing machines for them to learn sewing, beads making, and some other trade common to the community. For the children, I occasionally buy school shoes, bags, and books to encourage and entice them to be in school, because education is key to their living, particularly those performing well. This is one of the African approaches in solving issues of human trafficking in the society. That is giving a personal touch. I've always imagined my life without education and living the lives of those women with their predicaments on their children. I also go back to memory lane to imagine myself living the lives of those children. I must say, it saddens me always. That is what usually triggers me to act, no matter how little, to better their lives. In my chosen career, I do not want to be remembered as one who sent people to jail. I also want to be remembered as one who keeps people out of jail. When young people are brought before me, I see them as persons in conflict with the law or victims because of what the society might have exposed them to. I'm here today because I feel I'm not doing enough or that I can do better. I'm therefore here to learn from all of you here, realizing that the issue might not always be lack of finances to cater for them. It could be the way the issues are approached and addressed. This will enable me improve my environment and community towards eradicating human trafficking and organized crime. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.